everyone, it's Barbara Moore here today for Catch Your Best 60. I hope to have a few people join us today, and just while we're waiting for people to come on, I had a coughing fit a few minutes ago, so I'm just trying to catch my breath. And using pursed lip breathing is the best, absolute best way to catch your breath. Hi, Jackie. Thanks for joining us today. So, hi, Sandra. Nice of you to join us today. I wanted to make a disclosure at the beginning of the broadcast that we are not a private group here. When you join other groups like COPD, Exercise to Healthy Living, you will be in a private group where only people who are in the group will know or be able to view what your comments are and so forth. And the only people who can comment are people who are, hi Diane, the only people who can comment are people who are within the group. This is a Facebook page, and anybody can view my Facebook page. You know, it's public domain. And because anybody can join view my Facebook page, I want you to know that the information that you give today is not private. It also uploads every day. Every time I have a video due broadcast, hi Joanne, I upload to my blog page, and I also will eventually upload it to YouTube. So I want you to know that they can't see the comments on YouTube, but they can on my blog post because it goes right back to Facebook. So as long as we're all aware and on the same page today, we don't have a problem. But it is not a private group like other groups like COPD, Exercise to Healthy Living. The other thing that I wanted to remind you is that when you're asking me for a friend request, when you're requesting a friend request for me, you are not requesting it from my Catch Your Breath 60. You are requesting it from my private page. My private page doesn't always have COPD stuff on it or other stuff. I put lots of crap on my Facebook page. Nothing is too private. And I don't mind you subscribing to my Facebook page. But the thing is that know this, that it's not Catch Your Breath 60. In order to get onto this page or to be invited to this page, you have to like this page. Not my home page, but my Catch Your Breath 60 page. So I wanted to get that cleared up so that we're out, because I've had about 10 requests on my private page this week. And I think it's because people are getting confused over the two pages that I have. So I have a private page, same as everybody else. I have an additional page for Catch Your Breath 60, and I have an additional page for Barbara Moore Accounting and Bookkeeping. So we got to keep them all straight. Good morning, Elisa. How are you today? Last week we were in the throes of talking about the anxiety that we suffer from COPD, and one of the things that we have anxiety about is always catching your breath. And when my daughter and I were creating my blog, all of this started with a blog, and I used to write blog posts every week. And when my daughter and I sat down and tried to come up with a name for my blog, the one thing that we came back to continually was, hi Carol, was I need to stop and catch my breath. So Catch Your Breath was born when I was at the age of 60, and that's how it got its name, Catch Your Breath 60. So last week we were talking about the anxiety of Christmas and the holidays, getting over that, and then, hi Marilyn, and then, hi Elisa, getting over the Christmas holidays and the anxiety that causes, not being able to do the things and have the Norman Rockwell Christmas that everybody wants to have. Hi, Marilyn and Marion. And now we're into the very, very coldest hardest months of the year. If you live in, this side of the southern hemisphere, and if you're around, it doesn't matter whether you're in Canada or whether you're in the United States, everybody who had a snowstorm last weekend, you're on my side of the world. And we had a pretty big snowstorm last weekend, and we're expecting another one this weekend. So 30 centimeters is what they're predicting this weekend. Now, the newspaper, the news, the weather and news is not always correct. And we know that, right? But innately, when they start to put up temperatures like that, we start to get like, oh my God, what am I going to do? What if, right? So one of the blog posts that I wrote I think about 2 years ago, was getting your to-go bag ready if you have to leave. And if you're in Eastern Canada, you will understand, because I think you've all seen the pictures. They're opening their doors and the snow is over top of the door jamb. And in a situation like that, you may or may not have to leave, depending on whether you have electricity. So, being prepared is the thing, right? One of the big things that I had anxiety with when I first came down with COPD was, of course, catching my breath. And I had a hard time leaving the house because I have 7 steps down. That means, and another couple of steps to get out. And that means that when I come home, I have another 7 steps up. So this was causing me some anxiety. And we thought that at the beginning, yeah, I know, Carol, because you're in the same side as we are. So I thought at the beginning that we would just sell the house and eliminate these stairs, but for reasonable reasons, mostly financial reasons, we just couldn't do that. There's just is no place. The housing market is crazy. We're not in our top earning years, and we can't afford a lot of what these prices are out there. And so I looked at the stairs one day and I decided that I would conquer them. And Carol helped me with this by making me aware that this was anxiety that I was feeling, and that anxiety cannot take hold of us unless we allow it. So, long story short, I conquered the stairs, and I now can go out of my house. And it's an absolutely amazing feeling to be going out. Last week I went out with the girls all by myself, and I was such a big girl. I was really, really happy. You never realize the things that you're going to miss until you don't have them anymore, like things like your freedom. So I believe that in order to take care of our anxiety and in order to keep it under control, one of the things that we must do is journal our illness. And so last week we started talking about journaling. And I believe that, and I have believed from the very, very beginning, that journaling was an absolute must. This is your chronological journey of your illness and how it happened. I was getting ready for this broadcast this morning, and I was going through some old journals. I've got about 4 or 5 of them in there. And I was going through some old journals, and I was just, from where I've come, and the reason why I have done this is because journaling has opened my eyes to the possibilities of what could be. When I think back to the worst days that I've had and the highest anxiety days, if I went back to that day, I would see in my journal, and I was very, very surprised, I would see in my journal that I had 3 or 4 good days, 1 bad day, and about 7 or 8 good days after. But what is it that we focus on? We always focus on that 1 bad day that we had. So, my site has exploded. I had Oh, Aubin, I know how cold you are. I can't even imagine what it's like in Ottawa. What is the temperature? Ottawa is always much colder than we are. So my site has exploded, and over Christmas I put up a post that seemed to attract a lot of people that didn't know that we were here. And I think I went up by 348 posts. And so I'm really thrilled about this. I'm really bragging about this, you know. So I have 952 followers now. And so, you know, I was saying to my son, you know, look at my followers, and I was bragging about it and everything, right? And then last week, 2 people unfollowed me. So what do I think about? I don't think about the 348 people that followed me. I think about the 2 people that unfollowed me. And that's where I get my head, and that's where I can't get my head out of, right? And the same thing happens with journaling. When we journal stuff, we can look at things in the proper perspective. So last week we talked about books. And this week I want to talk a little bit about setup. But before we got to the setup, you know, because there is a proper setup, right? And if anybody's been to YouTube and looked at the couple of posts that I put up, I am going to keep putting out posts about it. Some of the tools that you will use when you are journaling, sorry, my phone's going off there. I forgot to turn it off. One of the tools that you will use, this is called a Sharpie pen. And I know it's backwards for you, but everybody knows what a Sharpie pen is, right? This is an excellent pen because it doesn't bleed through the pages. And bleeding through the pages makes it so that we can't write on every page. And our books are kind of expensive, so we want to make sure to get the proper pens, right? So these pens I bought in a package of about 45 pens or something, all different colors. And I like them because I can use them to put color in, right? They have a nice tip. I like a fine tip, but you can buy them in a medium or a soft tip if you like. I like a fine tip, especially because I do some, well, my version of art, right? Not the greatest art, but my version of art. So if you see some, now you can use any pen, and you'll see in my video on YouTube, if anybody's gone to it, that you can use any kind of a pen. But some pens are worse than others, and some pens smudge, and some pens oh, great, Dan. Some pens smudge, and some pens, you know, leave little nubs at the end. So these are excellent pens, Sharpie pens. If you can find them, you know, you probably find them now on sale because everything's pretty much on sale after Christmas. And the Sharpie pens are about the only thing that I haven't bought at the dollar store. Most everything I buy is from the dollar store. 6-inch ruler is really good. I don't really like using rulers because I think it makes it a little bit too formal. But if I do want to draw pictures, if I do want to draw any shapes or forms or anything, what I do is I print out templates, and I do these, and I keep them so that if I want to use them, I can use them. You know, I've got circles and squares, and I've got some other rectangles and stuff, right, that I use. So those are pretty interesting. And I can just grab those and use them. They can stay in my pencil case. Everything goes in my pencil case. So everybody doesn't want to get started because guess what? We might make a mistake. But if you make a mistake, we have this wonderful thing called washi tape. And this washi tape is a really thin tape. It mends well to all kinds of paper. It comes in all kinds of colors and everything. Everybody who's done any kind of calligraphy or journaling would know about washi tape. And it's specially made to cover up the mistakes that we made in journaling. So the last thing that I want to show you is just a, what do they call these? A stencil. It's a stencil. And there's all kinds of different shapes, and you'll see how I've used them throughout my book as we get going. Once again, at the dollar store, right? And hi, Natalie. And these are nice page markers if you, if you want to have page markers or whatever. So some of the things that I gather up as I'm I lost something. Some of the things that I gather up are, at this time of the year, they're really easy to get, is calendars. Calendars. Don't throw those calendars away. Oh, here it is. Because what I do is, and this is obviously for 2019, and I know it's backwards for you guys to see it, but instead of having to write out the calendar, hi, Christine, we can just take these out of here and just put them on our page. So we put them on our page, and that gives us our calendar notes for the year, right? It's absolutely fabulous. So, when we start our book, sorry, I'm chewing on a candy because I was coughing just before I came on here. So I want to see if I can show this the other way. Yes, here it is. So the first thing that we want to do in our book is we want to put our name and our address and our phone number. And if you're offering a reward for finding this, I left my journal in a cab one time. That wasn't very good. And so if you're offering a reward, put it here, right? If you find this book, please return for a reward. So, people will do stuff for money. The next place we start, so on our first page, what we have is our keys. And these keys are symbols that we're going to use. And I haven't filled out my keys yet, but these are symbols that we're going to use for things that happen during the day. So for tasks that are completed, moved, canceled, appointments, stuff like that, birthdays, we will make small symbols, and we will use these symbols throughout our journal. It helps us so that we don't have to, hi Sylvia, it helps us so that we don't have to keep writing so much. And, doing a little bit of adult coloring is really, really good for us. And so when I do my weather, this would be my weather keys, right? So just doing a little bit of coloring per day kind of gets you motivated to start your day, right? So you can see sunny, cloudy, rain, windy, snow, and those are my weather symbols. So I'll put those at the top of each day as we get going. Air quality is something that I check every day. It's something that comes in on my weather report. And air quality is really important for us to watch for. One of the things that we want to watch for with air quality is the dander and how that affects our breathing, because it really does, the dust and the stuff that's traveling around. So when we're doing air quality, my 10 is the best ever, 3 is bad, and 0, it seems to be on pause. So you're not seeing this, I'm sorry. So let me show you this way. And I know it's all backwards. So up here I have my keys. This is my weather. Can you hear me now, Christine? Is the pause off? Yeah, if air quality is 1, I'm dead, right? I'm absolutely dead. Either that or I'm just not going out, right? Does everybody know about your Borg? Does everybody know about your Borg? Borg is a list that we make of a list from 1 to 10, and it's something that we determine after we are finished exercising or while we are exerting ourselves. So 10 means you're short of breath, is very, very severe, and 2 means it's slight. And this is just a meter that we would do as we do our exercise every day. So you can check your Borg, and these are just in here at the beginning, just so that we will be able to go back and refer to them if we, you know how you have brain farts someday and you can't remember, right? These are the trackers that we're going to do. So we have exercise, weather, I track my exercise every day. I track steps, distance, and time. Then I track the weather. I track my weight because, I have heart failure. And so I have to be very careful that my weight doesn't increase too much. Yes, they use Borg in the rehab system, right? Yep. So my weight, I have to check it every day. So I have to be on the scale every day. And that determines how many Lasix I'll take throughout the day. I check my mood because this has a lot to do with how I feel. And doing a mood tracker is pretty interesting because, you never know how it's going to go, right? Then I check my water, my sleep. We, of course, take care of oxygen levels, heart rates, which is something that we're always doing on a constant basis. Blood pressure, you should be checking every once in a while. Does anybody do their blood pressure? If you're not doing your blood pressure, how are you going to know if it's normal? And one of the things that happened to me, like when I was first put in the hospital, right, they put me on these blood pressure pills. And so I questioned several times about why I was on these. They're called statins, and they're not good for you. And the doctors kept saying to me, I can't get a blood pressure, I can't get a blood pressure, but you're walking and talking, so you're probably okay. Well, I'm not willing to accept that for too much longer. So I asked my cardiologist if he would take me off them, and he did. And guess what? We finally got a normal blood pressure. So I don't know why. Sometimes you got to question why you're on these pills, right? And if you're taking your blood pressure every once in a while, you don't have to take it every day, but once a week wouldn't hurt, right? Take your blood pressure once a week and find out what's normal for you. Of course, if you have diabetes, you have to check your sugars, right? I don't have diabetes yet, so we have to do all of that. The next thing that we want to do is, and I do it down here in the corner, you can see that I number my pages. And I number all of my pages going through. Of course, I start at 2, right? And do every second page, 2, 4, 6, 8. Because, most of us can count by 2s. I'm not so good on the odd numbers, but I can usually do the... So, Marion, if you have high blood pressure, you should be checking it, a couple of times a week just to make sure. And you put the results of it into your journal so that you can take that to your doctor, right? He will want to know what things are making your blood pressure fluctuate. You also have to make sure that you are not drinking too much, because if you're drinking too many fluids, that's going to put your blood pressure up. Reduce your salt intake and any salty foods that you eat. And there's a few other things that you can do, but you should talk to your doctor about what you can do for your blood pressure, right, to keep it down. Blood pressure is really important, because you can have a stroke. And so you've got to be careful of your blood pressure. Most of us have gone back to normal blood pressures. My blood pressure was so high. The doctors were really terrified for me, but then I quit smoking and took care of it, right? But ask your doctor about statins and what you have to do. So the reason why we number our pages is because if we want to find something in particular, we can go back to that page. And this allows us to do an index, right? So I have an index here where I write the page number here and the subject here, right? Hi, Susan. How are you today? It's a cold one today, eh? It's been really cold yesterday and today. They said tomorrow's going to be a little bit warmer. I hope it does, because I got to go watch my grandson swimming. So, got to get a little bit warm, eh? My heat is just blaring in the house, right? Yes, if you drink, the more fluids you have, the higher your blood pressure will be, right? But have a chat with your doctor about it, because he's the person who's going to help you with it, right? And there's no point in you knowing this stuff and not letting your doctor know. And this is why it is so important to keep it in a journal every day and to write down what's going on, right? Well, you know, Dan, if you have later in life diabetes, my husband was diabetic, and he was able to modify it with diet. He stopped eating cookies and sugar stuff. He's a real sugar freak and very, very high salt contents, right? But sometimes you can monitor with that, and other times you can't. You just have to be very, very lucky that we have that we have insulin now for diabetes. So on my index page, I write all of the title pages that are coming next, right? And because I've written the numbers in the corner, I know what those pages are. It's really cool. And leave a couple of pages blank. Don't be afraid to leave a couple of pages blank. I do all the time because you don't know how far you're going to go, right? And then it's no good if you have to carry on in another part of the book, right? So one of the first pages that I do, because I have the attention span of an ant, and I can't remember anything. So it's, when did I last? So when did I last? When did I last change the battery in the smoke alarm? When did I last change the furnace filters? When was the last time I cleaned out the fridge? These are things that help you really, really. Oh, Carol, no, you did get that cold, eh? So Carol's had to start prednisone, and she says her blood sugar will be out of whack, so she has to take extra insulin because of the prednisone. Isn't that funny how the drugs can react like that, eh? So writing down here tasks that you do, and when did I last do it, you know? When did I last make an eye appointment? When did I last, get my blood sugars checked? Things like that. And it keeps you abreast of what needs to be done. And so I have, if it's a yearly, monthly task, the date that what the task was, the date that I completed it, and how often I have to redo it. So we do our smoke alarm batteries twice a year. So they have to, daylight savings time, whenever that happens, they just go in the garbage and we get new ones. Oh no, Carol, I had that cold, and I texted Carol last week and said, I got this cold, I don't know if I have to take antibiotics or not, but luckily it was just in my head. But I'm sorry to hear that. The prednisone is the worst thing. It's the worst drug to have to take. But thank God we have it, right? So there's, the flip side of that as well. Next, when did I last? Then we have a page called Don't Forget To. So don't forget to change your batteries. Don't forget to change the furnaces in your filter. Don't forget to, change your underwear. Who knows? I cannot remember anything, so I use this religiously. Because it seems to me, and the longer that we're off work or we're not working right, the days seem to meld together. Then I have a page where I just write my opening meme. And most bloggers or journaling people will do this. And this meme says, if you commit to nothing else, commit to a daily routine that consists of actions that over time will lead to where you want to be. And that's by Brianna West. It's really, really cool. So some days when I can't get motivated and I don't feel like doing anything, I can come back and read the memes that I've put there. Here I have a page for who are you going to call? So, I know that I have it on my phone, but I can't always remember who these people are, right? So things like your plumber, your electrician, your painter, your cab company, my roofer. I had to have a roof done last year, and keeping all the emails and the texts in here. Sometimes I don't really have them right down on my phone, and sometimes my phone's not with me, right? The next thing that I do is I take care of doctor's appointments. And these are all in your opening pages. These only have to be done once. But, you know, it so often happens when you go into the doctor's that the doctor will say, oh, I'm glad you got the pens. Oh, you're still talking about diabetes. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the journaling pens. So often what happens is when I go to the doctor will say to me, when did you last see your pulmonary doctor? When did you last see your cardio doctor? When have you last seen your GP? What did you see? What did you see him for? You know, what were the results of that? And so I write a little bit down on this page, right? Doctor's appointments, the date, the doctor, the hospital, the time, and the phone. And so what happened? What did I go to this doctor, right? Because they always seem to want to know, and so I have to flip back on my calendar and my phone, right? So here it is right here. And then the tests that I've had done. By the way, speaking of tests that we've had done, has everybody had their CT scan? You know, they do that now for us because they can early detect cancer. You know, we're susceptible to lung cancer because we have COPD, and they will do a CT scan of your lungs. So if you haven't asked your pulmonary doctor, or your GP yet, ask them because they will tell you. So one of the things that I have tests all the time. They're always testing me for something, and so what I want to do is make sure that sometimes two hospitals don't speak to each other, right? And so what I like to do is to have it all written down here. So I could say, oh no, I had that CT scan, don't worry about that. The results were negative. And actually my pulmonary doctor told me in December that the first CT scan that I went for, oh, great, Aubin, that's fabulous. I'm going for mine on Friday because they canceled my appointment. So I'm going for mine this Friday. Anyways, my pulmonary doctor told me that CT scan did show some nodules, I think they're called, and they'd sent me back for it, and I couldn't understand why I was there that second time. I was like, I've already had the scan, I don't need to do this, right? And he said, yes, it was a small nodule, and the second time they looked at it, it had already disappeared. So sometimes you have to have these tests done again, right? So the last page that I'm going to show you is my medications. So, you know, if you take your book, you turn it any way you want to, right? My medications list is pretty long, and so on my medication list, I have the doctor and everything who gave it to me. What I normally do, I have my medications come in a blister pack, and so I would normally take this into where my medications are, and each time they send me something, they give me a copy of it, right? So I put those in my book too. That way when I go to the doctor's, I've always got a list of my medications. He can always look at when I got them, what the milligrams were, and so forth, right? So that's some of the information that you might want to think about when you're starting up your book. Your book is your business, and it should be for nobody else but you to see. Except that it will also be a journey, a chronological journey of your COPD. And you will be surprised when you start journaling how much you will look back on and say, oh my goodness, I couldn't believe that, you know, in a 7-day scan, I was only sick for 1 day, and yet it was such a big deal that 1 day that I was sick, right? And so you have to look at what happens around it. So next week we're going to talk about doing your daily setup. After we've got our book all set up, we've picked our book last week, we picked our pens this week, and we've done the setup. And I'll also put a couple of my YouTube posts up so that you can get a view of my YouTube posts. They're a little bit longer and a little bit more in depth, and get us up to next week when we will be doing daily journaling. I don't think there's anything else this week that I had. No, Nope, I think that was it for this week. So for January 21st, have a great week. I hope that Blue Monday was easy for you and that everybody gets over that, and get on to your journaling, because once we're done our journaling, then we're going to start our projects, our simple projects for February. We're going to look at doing some seeding and stuff. This is Barbara Moore for Catch Your Breath 60. I have a blog at catchyyourbreath60.com. My Facebook page is at Catch Your Breath 60, Facebook. I am on Instagram and Twitter. Not so much Twitter, but Instagram quite a bit. And if you have any concerns or anything that you would like to share, please send it to us or just post it on my page. I thank each and every one of you that have joined us today, and I work hard at answering any messages or comments that you leave. Thank you for today, and have a great one.